Akshay, Joe, this question first dropped in during your segment, but Ken, if you've got anything to add, we would love to hear it. And it's just asking, what questions should security practitioners be asking, particularly when it comes to data protection companies?
Okay, so the question being, what do you want to ask when you're trying to find any kind of protection solution? What kinds of questions you ask? So it's so much. This is a question that him and I do come across when we're talking with clients, and we do enjoy answering that quite a bit. So when you're thinking about protection, really what you want to get into is how much of my, how many of my data repositories can the solution go into? If you come across with someone saying, hey, this is the best, RDBMS protection tool, and this is the best Hadoop protection tool, and this is the best, protection tool that goes into cloud sources, and this is the best one for this case. You don't want to have 5 or 6 or 7 different tools all doing different use cases, right? When you want to have a global view of protection, you want to have one tool that can touch into the entirety of your data repositories. So the first place to kind of think of when you're talking about what do you need for protection, think about your RFP, what platform do you need supported, right? Think about the list of all the places in which we store data and check for solutions that can handle the widest array of integrations and repositories as possible. And then from there, you think about what kinds of protection measures do I need? Are we talking tokenization? Are we talking encryption? Is this for, protecting against breaches? Is this for de-identification? Are we talking masking? Do I need this to be consistently done throughout everything? So from there, once you know that you have a solution that can cover all the different data repositories you have, you want to challenge them on all the different protection mechanisms they can offer you. So you're in control of how your data should be protected. And really importantly, even though we use the word protection, before that has to come discovery, right? A lot of clients will come to us and they'll say, hey, we know where all of our PII is. We just need you as a tool to mask what we tell you to mask, or to encrypt what we tell you to encrypt. But the truth is, even with well-labeled data, when we run our discovery across their environments, we have a lot of clients that end up surprised by how much PII they have that they weren't even aware of. So when you're thinking about protection, it's not just going after the places you have your PII in, it's discovering all the sources you didn't know you had your PII in and making sure those are also scoped within your protection needs. So thanks for that question. That's definitely a great one.
No, thank you, Akshay. Do any of our panelists have anything to add to that, or we may just move on to the next question?
Well, I would say that kind of the related piece that I usually find to that question would be, how many people do I have to, allocate to, our security, activities? Is it one person? Is it 2, 3, 4? And typically, we're forcing, companies to probably devote a little bit more than they otherwise would want to. But I think it's also critical to make sure that you have one person that's ultimately responsible, so that when you have the disputes between, let's say, the technology folks and the compliance folks, it's going to go to the same person who can balance those varying interests.
Thank you so much for that. And another quick question, Akshay, Joe, it dropped in during your segment, just asking for some best practices here. What are the implementation challenges around data security and data privacy that you've identified are possibly the most common challenges, and perhaps how have you overcome those in the past?
Thanks for that question. Another good one from the audience. Implementation challenges, around security and privacy. So typically when we're talking deployments, the way we break it down for clients is you've got to know what repositories that you need to have security and privacy measures within. And you need to know what kinds of users are in charge of discerning the PI within them. So if you have a dedicated, security team, if you have a dedicated privacy team, if you have some kind of DPO officer or a CISO who can put in charge what resources need to be responsible for reviewing discovery across and deciding what needs to be protected or not. That's kind of the first place to start. You know, what kinds of authentication do they need to access a tool from wherein they can perform discovery, from wherein they can perform remediation is a pretty key understanding. What kinds of communication comes forth between, you know, different teams that are assessing PII across the organization, and making sure that they are in, you know, they have synchronicity in what actions they want to perform, and where everyone in, you know, these different business units is clear on what actions this remediation and protection is going to have against their timeline and use cases. So for the most part, when we're, you know, as a company, or as a vendor rather, when we're talking with clients who come to us for security and privacy, some of the things we do, which we usually wrap into, you know, weekly or monthly cadences, is making sure that that company's other internal units are all clear on what measures are being taken and how this might influence their day-to-day activities.